Hello. Hi now. So, welcome to the stream. Oh, I forgot my lights. There, now you can see me. Good. Alright, so, oh, you shouldn't see this. Sorry. Okay. Let's see if everything is going as it should. Seems so. Seems so. Alright. Alright, looks like we are live, so let's get to work. Hi everyone who's viewing. Happy to see you. Oh, cool. Hi. Some Cyberpunk and Sean Jane. Hi. Hello. Alright, okay, so today what I decided to do is to basically continue with my efforts to cover this Trello clone application that I have made. And since I have begun with these streams, I've been doing this, and I have been playing with different approaches. Like, I wanted to cover every story there is, but then I got to play around with code coverage, and I decided that this might actually be a good way to go. This might be the way that I could cover my app effectively and be okay with refactoring it, because what I want to do eventually, I want to refactor the whole thing, and yeah, thank you. Yeah, because it's a complete spaghetti code. Well, it's not complete spaghetti code. I'm too hard on myself probably, but I think it could be better. And I want to experiment with that a little, because this is basically my path of learning Vue.js, and I want to learn more, and I want to experiment, but I want to have my tests to have my back, and basically to make sure that I don't break anything to the point of no return. So let's get to it. So last time actually we were checking out my webpage, so you should check that out too. I was just doing a development phase of my page, and I have added some tests over here, and yeah, if you haven't seen my new website, take a look. It's pretty, and there will be lots of more content going as well. You can also join the Discord channel where we talk about Cypress, and yeah, if you're interested, you can join the newsletter. And it's not really a newsletter, it's just a notice when there's a new blog. There's also RSS feed, so if you're into that, you don't have to subscribe, you can just use the RSS feed. But there's some bonus content sometimes in the newsletter, so make sure you join. Alright, so last time what we did, let's look at the test. I looked into the integration, and I have created this board.ts file where I have added 6 tests, and what we have covered is adding a new list. Then we started typing a new list and then close it, because there's a function that handles this case, and a couple of cases as well. So updating, deleting list. Is there a test? Yeah, there is. So let's now continue with this file and look into what we have not covered. So in this coverage report, we can actually see really nicely what lines of code have been called, lines of code have been called multiple times, and and which haven't. So we are going to look into those that we haven't covered, and then we'll move to another file because there are multiple files in our app. So there's the components, we have board, collection, and since the last time I think we moved that from 16%, where we would just open the app and just the opening of the app would just cover 16% of this component, and then we moved it to 43, which is somehow in a red number, so this is considered not well covered app. So let's see if we can get to the at least the yellow here today. All right, and let me just quickly demonstrate what this does. So if I just select a single test, so I will filter it by using dot only and save it. I'm going to run. So in this terminal my app is running. So I typed npm start, and in this terminal there's nothing running, so I'm going to run my Cypress. npx Cypress open. And by the way, if I stumble upon anything that might be of interest of you and you want to ask a question, go ahead and ask. I'll be happy to answer that. Oh, hey Andri, nice to see you. All right, so let's open our test. This is too big now. Okay. And bam. Now I have my test. And so I just ran this test, so only adding a new list. So you can see it has opened the app, and when I look at the timeline, it would get this element, click on it, then what it would do, expect it to be visible, okay, then it would type in the text of the list, the name of the list, and then basically would type enter and make sure the list is visible. Let me make it a little bigger. This is not the best. Yeah, I think this is much better, and I'll just hide this. Yeah, and now I think this is much better now. Okay, so this is a simple test. It just opens the board and creates a new list, and let's see how that plays out in the coverage report. So I have it here, and I have my component board.js, which board.js is this view where you can see your board. The URL is board slash and the UID, or the ID rather, of the board. So now when I refresh this coverage report, you can see that we are at 25%. Yeah, 25. So we have not covered a lot by this test, but if we skip this only and run our tests again, we'll see the error message, update list, okay. And right now, like you can see these functions, and they may not be like super intuitive at first, but they tell a story, right? So I have like update list name, so that's basically a function that will call an API call when a list is updated, and also update board name. I don't think that is covered, but now when I refresh this, you can see that my coverage report updates, and you can see that the update list was called, and it was actually called twice during my tests, so that's good. So let's look into, I was thinking we could maybe look into the board update, where we would update the name of the board, which you can do like so. Click on the name of the board and add hello, new hello. And now my board is updated, right? And you will not see that in coverage report because I need to run my test for that. So this is a story we could cover. And we could also look into the tasks. So we're going to create, update, and delete task, and we'll see how that goes. So let's look into the first one. So let's update board name, and in my before each hook I have already something. I have created yeah, this is basically an reset request, so I'm sending this to reset my database, it's just a JSON file, and here in data, so data JSON, so you can see the new hello being the name of the board. Whenever I create a new list, it's going to be here. Whenever I create a new task, it's going to be here. And this request, what it does is just rewrites the data JSON to basically a list of empty arrays. Okay, so let's look into the board names. This is the one we want to cover, and before we do that, we add new board via API. So that's good. The thing we want to do in the test, we want to visit, and we want to visit our board. And I have already covered how I'm using Cypress env to use this as a storage. So basically I have created an array where I will just put all the data I need inside it. I'll show you in a minute. I'll just copy this, and yeah. So now I saved it, and I just have this visit command here, right? So what I do, I open the board /board ID, and each time I do that, you can see the ID is changing. And what I'm doing here is that I use request to create that board via API, and when my server returns the answer, I'm saving it inside cypress.env. So you can access Cypress env by typing cypress.env function, and you can see that here are my boards. So basically what I do is, before anything happens in my support index file, I have this before each hook, which resets all of my boards. So it's resetting this, not the database, right? And whenever I create a board using this custom command, this add board API, then when I do the request, then after I get the body of the response, I'll basically push it to the Cypress env. This is kind of my setup of what I do with data during my tests. You can check it out on my blog, where I explain that a little more, just to get a little understanding of what I do. I'm explaining it also here. So this is what this does. So let's get to the update board name. So the next thing I want to do in my test is basically click on this element, and then change the name of the element, right? So let's make this a little smaller, this a little smaller, so we can see our app. This is maybe too much. Okay. Or we can do it like this. This is more convenient for this streaming setup. Okay, so I'll just use this element selector, and I will look into this. And since I have no data selector, I have just this input and class, I could use that, but I don't really want to. Then I will go to my markup, which is my index.html file, and I will add a data selector. So as you can see, the app uses a single markup, single HTML file, and in the assets folder there's the whole JS thing going on, and that might be the one of the things that I'm going to refactor. So I'll have some view components maybe. So let me just find it here. So the board input, board detail title, this is what we want. So what I will do now, I will add another attribute that's going to be data CY, and I'm going to name it board title. And now when I save this and run my test again, I can already see, hopefully, this data CY. Yes, it's here. Data CY board title. So let's use now this selector in our test. And I'm going to use cy.get, not get, and the selector will be data cy and the board title. I should have just copied it. Hopefully I am not doing any typos here. Let me just move this mic. It's probably too close to the keyboard. And I need to get my stand a little better because it's falling down. Okay, hopefully that's better. So yeah, let's save this and see what happens. Seems it's working, right? So I visit and I'm getting my element. You can see it highlighted. Okay. And yeah, okay. So let's do something with that, shall we? Let's type in something, type. And let's type so the board is now, it is called new board. So let's just type updated board name. Oh, hello from Brazil. Hi, nice to see you. And I'm going to type enter after that. And let's see what happens. Oh, and you can see what happens. I actually forgot to clear my input. So let's clear that first using the clear command to make sure I delete everything that's inside. So good, I get my element. Let's hide the highlights. I clear it, and after that I'll type another name of my board, and that's it. And you can see when I hover over these elements that my data is still loading. I can see that when I use the get command, you can see that this is empty. So let's maybe first check if this has the proper value. So let's add an assertion. Let's add should I think to have a value is the right assertion, and that assertion should be new. The text, the value should be new board. Let's see if that works. It works. Yes, it does. Okay, and now I can see that my screenshots are looking, or the snapshots are looking a little different. So when I hover or when I click on my get command, I can clearly see the new board being visible. And I know this is not the best practice to like type it manually. Maybe I should just put it in a variable and use that variable as here as well as here down. But I don't care. I don't care now. I mean, I'm obviously talking about it, so I know that it would be better that, but I just want to show you something today, and I'm not going to waste my time changing my test. I'm probably using it that on more places. So let's move on. Okay. Well, yeah. Basically, I have my test ready, right? Oh, let's just for the fun use this assertion again and check if the value is good. Okay, seems that this is okay. And let's see what happens to our coverage. So now we're looking at here, the board update. Now when I refresh this, I can see that it is updated. So that's cool. Let's run now all the tests. And bam, 8 seconds. And let's look into the coverage report. Looking good. And we are at 45%. So not a big jump. I think we were at 40 something. Wasn't it 46? I feel like it is 46, but that doesn't make sense. Let's look into the tasks. So task created. We want to create a new task. And a task in my application is inside a list. So whenever I create a list and I create it, and I can create a new task, and this would be new task like this. So let's do this first 2 steps, the creating of the board and creating of the list. Let's do it through API. So we actually open our app in the state we want to have it opened. And I think we are already doing that somewhere in the updated list's name, right? So here's the request for creating a new board. Yeah, so the API board is called to create a new board. And then there's the second request that's calling the URL of API lists with the method of post. I don't know where that method is right now, but doesn't matter too much right now because we can just look into the code. And yeah, let's just copy this and add a new test. We are going to be adding new test, and that's going to be add a new task. So let's type that only, and I will add a new list, and let's see if the test does what it should. And we have a question here, if it's possible to see this coverage report when my test is not attached to the app project. I don't think so. I mean, theoretically it could be, because what we are doing with the coverage report, this is not like the coverage report is not something you get like right out of the box when you install Cypress. You actually need to fiddle with your application a little. And when I say fiddle, it means the instrumentation of your app. So what you need to do is to generate a version of your app that is instrumented for code coverage. So basically the app knows when a function has been called, because normally you wouldn't have that in your app. You would just make it work for the user, right? And the developer wouldn't mind working with somehow logging when a function was called and when it wasn't. So that's the process of instrumentation. So you need to instrument your app. And when that app is instrumented, then what you will do with Cypress is to install the coverage plugin, and it will collect all the coverage data and generate your report. And I think that theoretically, if you would have your app, the instrumented version of your app somewhere on the development server and run your tests against that, you would get that coverage report. But I mean, it is kind of complicated, And I think the Cypress folks really, when they created this amazing tool, I think they really made it for the use case of having your tests right within your code base. So if you are thinking about using test coverage, I strongly recommend that you move your tests inside. I have been actually experimenting with not experimenting. I have experience with having your tests outside of the app. So basically, they would be running against the development server and inside the app, and or inside the code base. And I think it's much better to have it inside your code base, based on my experience. So I don't want to force anything on anyone. I mean, think for yourself. Obviously, don't take my word for it. But my experience was that the tests living in the same repo as your app is the way to go. Okay. Now back to my test. So I have filtered my test. I have created new board, new list. Now we have it. So let's add a new task. Let's look into. Let's find a selector for this. I think I need again to create my own. Okay, h5 class. So let's go to the index.html. Oh, not. Sorry. Accidentally looked into the whole repo. So let's add a data cy, and I'm just going to call it add task. So I'll copy this now, save this, and what I will do is now get my element. So that will be data cy, and click on it. And I'll save my test to see what happens when I click, right? So this text area appears and my task options appear. So I'm going to add selectors also to this. So let's go index.html, find this element, and add a data selector. Data cy, task options. Again, I'm just going to copy paste a little, and oops, okay. Oh, again, I kind of forgot the closing brackets. It still worked. Okay, so data cy task options should appear, right? Should be visible. Should be visible. All right. So there I have it. That should be visible. Let's save it all. See what happens. Seems okay. So let's look into the. Let's now interact with this text area. So I'll type the text area. I have a data ID. Not sure when I added this, but anyway, I'm still going to add a data cy attributes. So let's find it. This is the new. Oh, this is the text area. So let's now add data cy. Oops. And what should it be? Task input. I wonder what I named the list input before. List name. I named it list name. Yeah, but still, I think like the list name here is the input. Over here is just... Okay, let's not spend too much time on naming things. Data CY task input. I'll just, yeah, okay, will be task input. And let's use the task input. And I will type new task and just hit enter. Enter. So I save it all. Ooh, what's that? I made a typo probably. Oh, I probably made a typo right here. Where is that? Oh, okay, okay, I did something wrong. Let's just, yeah, I'll just copy this text and put this back. I forgot where I had to, yeah, I kind of like, I didn't notice what I did. Data, CY, not sure what I did there. I'll probably see it in the video. So task input, save this. And this is one of the things that, I mean, can happen. So that's why it's actually good to have, to work with the repo alongside your tests, because you normally work with a local version of your app, and if you break something like I just did, then you will see that immediately. And adding my own data selectors, I think it's a good way to go. Task options, expected task options to be visible. Data CY task options. Did I accidentally? Yeah, I did. As I clicked back, I deleted that. Deleted the both lines. So I have my changes here, and I accidentally deleted both of my lines. And task options, what's it called? So let's try that again, and good. So new task, enter, and it did create my task. So let's just, to make the test complete, let's create an assertion here, and I will find, ooh, I'll find dot task. No, that would be task module, task everything. Let's see. Oh, if I type it like this, maybe. Oh, here it is. Good. Task. Here it is. So let's add a data CY, and that would be just task. I think that's a good name for this one. All right. And how does my test look? So I type, oh, it looks the same because I changed nothing. I got distracted here for a little. So let's get my task, and that should be visible. Should be visible. Okay. Now let's save this. And I think our test is complete here. Good. So let's look into the coverage report, and we are looking right over here at task created. This is the thing we want to have changed. And here we got it. Task created. And I wonder what this is. This is the else. Like else path is not taken. Is there an else path? I mean, there isn't, like, because I'm just having this, if the list ID is in current lists, then this current lists ID push message. Okay, I think I know what that is. I think the way I'm using, oh, I don't have my view tools here. I have them here. Let's look into that. So when I'm using my storage, I'm using So right on the right side you can see like all the data I'm using in this component, and I'm actually using current, like this current lists, this current list object which is empty, current board, it has list in it. So you can see that there's kind of duplication here going on. So I have my list over here and I have my list also over here, and I don't remember exactly what am I doing exactly here. Why is this here twice? I think I wanted to avoid, like, while opening a new board, to like send multiple requests at once, so I created this storage for myself. And yeah, well, join me sometime in the future when I will be refactoring this. But the important thing here is that we have covered this one. So let's look into what now? Let's look into the task updated. How about we try to cover this all with a same test? So we are going to create a new task, then we are going to update the name, and after that I'm going to delete that. See what happens. So if I do a longer test like that doesn't just add a new task, but it does multiple stuff. I kind of forgot about this today. It's good practice to use logs, and they might feel like you're doing, like, the code is pretty readable, so why should you add logs? And the answer is your screenshots. So whenever a test fails, Cypress automatically makes a screenshot, and the screenshot would usually be the first thing you get to look at when your test fails and you want to examine why a test failed. And having a good log in your tests is actually really helpful when you try to debug what's happening. So let's add a few logs, and then we're going to continue with the test. So let's log what we are doing here. We are clicking on add task. Okay, so click on add task button. Then we are task options here, and type the task name, and now and task is created. Good. So nothing has changed. That's good. Now let's click on the, how do I rename this? So I need to click on it, right? Oh, why doesn't it? Oh, okay, so I found something. When I click on the text, it doesn't open. When I click away from the text, like over here, it doesn't. It opens my model. So if I consider a global constant for my data CY attribute, so do you mean like an like a whole object which will contain all of my selector? Let me know. If that is the case, I don't think that's I actually think that might be a little hard to maintain. Whereas opposed to like adding the selectors here and just using them in your tests, that might be, I think that might be actually easier. But I mean, it depends on the project. I know that's like kind of a Yeah, that's not the satisfying answer, but I mean it does. Because I wonder what that will, what value would that add? I mean, if it adds, yeah, exactly. Okay, so yeah, if it adds value, if it like helps with the maintenance, I think then that would be a good idea. In my use cases that I have made, it wouldn't be the best idea. I mean, the risk of it all could be like I would have a duplicate. Like I would have this data CY add task somewhere else. But I mean, in the worst scenario, I think what would happen is that Cypress would return 2 selectors and wouldn't know on which it should click. And I mean, there could be worse scenarios, of course, but it doesn't seem like too big of a risk, while importing that constant in every test and then accessing it, giving it a proper name, creating a proper name for each of those. I don't think that would be like, I don't see it. I don't see why would that be a good way. But I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. I think it would be difficult. It feels difficult to me. And I don't think yeah, duplicated IDs would fail into failed tests anyway. That's true. Like the ID, not the data CY. You can actually have any number of data CY as far as I know. Like it doesn't matter if you have 2 data CYs. It would just, well, in the test you would see that it would return 2 elements, and if you try to click on 2 elements at once or type into 2 elements at once, the Cypress will just give you error, because it will not do that for you. So let's click on this task. While I'm at it, so. But that's it. That's a really, you got me thinking. That's an interesting question. I have seen it in the past. I have seen people doing that. And I didn't really understand the reason for that task. So I'm clicking and let's see if this thing appears. So this is the task module. So let's find the task module here and add a data CY here. And should I call it task module? I don't really like the name. I'll keep it module. Cypress will fail if you fetch and data CI and you validate it as it was one of them. I don't think I understand what you meant. So let's continue with the test. Let's get my, it's going to be the task module, and that should be visible. That's the thing we want. So let's add a log to and task module appears. Good. Okay. So how do I rename? So I have to click here, clear this field, and then rename it. So let's find where that is. Task module. No, that's not task module exit. Drop down. Visible. Oh, here it is. Task module title. So let's find this one. good. Data CY task module name, like this. And let's get this, and I'll add a log that will change the task name. So I'll click on the task module name and will type updated task name. And let's clear that. Before we do that, not click, clear. I'll type enter, probably enter. Let's see. Good, I have updated the task name. It seems that now when I refresh my report, I can see that the task updated is here, and that's good. And task deleted. So let's now click on the 3 dots over here, give it a name, drop down task module exit drop down. I think I have this class multiple times here, so the exit is the whole thing here. To drop down, let's see, task module exit drop down. So let's add a data cy, and that would be task module close. Let's find this and let's log, click on the, oh wait, I don't want to exit. Oh, it's called exit. Okay, good. Open drop down. So retroburn, you meant that a test would likely CY get the data C1 and validate them. So you would get the data CY attribute and then also validate it, like is it the same night? If you use the same ID twice, the test will probably fail. And you got 2 elements and validating its content, billing you retrieved only 1 element. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, you could do that. But I mean, it depends, like Cypress does a lot of things for you in that regard. You can, yeah, I mean, like I said, you cannot click or type into multiple elements at once. So if you don't really have to validate that, it would always just give you, if it wouldn't return 1 element, then the test would fail anyway. If you would yeah, no problem. I mean, it kind of is like it is kind of a topic of the stream, because what we are doing here, we are writing tests. So, and as a part of writing those tests, I'm adding this data CY, and I think that's it's a good point. So I mean, thank you for that question. I think I'm going to think about that in the evening, and I will add a new command. So I will click on this. So I'll open drop down and let's see all the tests. Okay, I get it. So the thing is, if for any reason you would like to modify the data CY attribute in a component and you test many things related to that component in many files, you'd have to change each file manually. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that that makes sense. If it's the same thing though, I mean, I have faced something similar where like just a single thing would make like 30 tests fail, and that single thing would be just a change of well, in my experience it wasn't the data CY selector, but it was a class, and we were using a class for a test, and the class has changed, which is, I mean, one of the reasons you shouldn't really use those classes. But I mean, I had it in my project, so what I would do, I would just Command Shift F, would find that class in the whole project, and then I would rewrite it. It was actually the easy thing to do. I mean, potentially dangerous. It worked out. Let's look into the, let's get to the end, to the delete it, and see where we will be in terms of code coverage. Yeah, exactly as Retrobetter said. I mean, you could do that if you know what you're doing. I mean, obviously create a new branch, do it safely, like don't screw it up, because I mean, when you want to change a whole hell of a lot selectors, then that might be not a good way to go. I mean, you could, in VS Code you can include like only your tests, so I would look into the Cypress and I would see like, oh, okay, I'm just making changes into this folder, so I'm safe. I think it's actually pretty easy, so maybe not so much, not that dangerous in the end. So let's see, let's quickly, okay, log, and we want to make sure that dropdown appears. So I will again get a data selector, and let's see, IntelliJ handles it. I mean, I think most of the selectors are I mean, most of the text editors don't really have problem with doing something like that. So we got IntelliJ, we got VS Code obviously here. So I think Sublime does that too. You're convinced. We have convinced you, or rather pushed you. I mean, join the Discord. We can discuss more. This is really a good one. Let's see. Task module. So drop down should appear, and after that I'm going to delete the task. So let's add drop down. Let's add a data selector to the drop down. So the data CY will be task drop down, and let's see. Yeah, exactly, it's a good question. And by the way, I mean, I think I really get to test my own hypothesis here when I will finish writing my tests and then start to refactor my app and to see like what works. And I think that will be valuable thing, because since I made the app and I'm going to change it, I get the developer perspective of things, of how tests actually affect you when you are refactoring or creating new stuff. So the drop down appears, we got it here, and let's click on the delete and see if that does the thing we want. So log and delete board, and I'm just going to use contains. I think I copied the text, didn't I? Yeah. Delete task, and I will click on it. Let's see. New task, update, delete. Nope. Okay, I think the problem is with the log, because it just takes the... Is this the problem? Maybe. We'll see. The contains is a hybrid command, so it can either be a child command, so it yields the information from the previous command, which, by the way, I think the log shouldn't really like pass information onto the next one. Maybe I should report that to Cypress, but it doesn't seem like it yields anything. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Never mind. Okay, we clicked and we see that the model disappears and also the task disappears. So let's see if let's write assertions for these two. Let's disappears it should not exist anymore. I think it's not just the visibility but also the existence of the element, and also the task data cy task. The task disappears should not exist. So let's see if the test runs. Task module not exist in DOM. Okay, so it's just a visibility change. So let's do not be visible. I kind of thought that it will be the visibility change, just because I'm using, what's the task module? I'm using the click text down v show, and I think that the show actually just plays with the displaying part. I don't know, like I would need to look that up in the Vue.js documentation, but I think yeah, this is the difference. Like if it was a v if, I think it would just that would be the change. I think I heard it somewhere. I don't know. I'll look it up. Okay, so our test is complete. Let's look into the coverage, and cool. We have our task deleted, and let's run them all. And this is an interesting change of approach. I mean, last time I was adding tests one by one. It made sense for some tests, like obviously for the error message. When I'm intercepting, I want to do that, to have a separate test for that. But for deleting list, updating list, and start typing list name and try to save it, start typing blah blah blah, we have created a couple of separate tests. And what I did here, I put it into a test, put it all in one test. So it not only adds a new task, but what does it do? Adds, updates, and deletes a task. Okay, so let's run them all. And bam, we have it. 10 seconds. And let's save this. And looking good. So we have a couple of more areas that are not covered, but we are now at 66%. 66. 66.67. That's it. So we have, I mean, with only 2 tests, we have changed a lot. We have covered quite a lot. So I think we can leave the next thing for the future, next of our tests, and maybe I'll prepare something else. I mean, there are tons of topics we can cover, and by the way, if you want to look into something, let me know. Join the Discord channel. Let's see. I have the Discord link right here. So if you haven't joined yet, what's happening? Why is my chat not working? Hopefully, yeah, okay. Not sure, my OBS is acting out. I cannot see the chat. Never mind, I send it through the other thing. I think you can see it. And yeah, join the Discord and see you there. And if you have some questions, make sure you ask them or let's discuss. And also my new web, check it out. There's tons of cool stuff and more is coming. And if you want to learn, there are a couple of courses you can check out. So this one is in Slovak language, so unless you know Slovak, I don't recommend this one, but if you do, it's awesome. And this one is hosted on Udemy. Go check it out. Oh, link is broken. Oh my, I need to fix that. Alright, I will fix this, but if you look for Cypress test automation for people in a hurry, you'll find my course. Go ahead and check it out, and see you next time. Thank you very much for coming today, and have a great day.